Practicality, having logic, and having a very pragmatic approach to life with a very, very deliberate sense of communication and action is really the encapsulation of Mercury in the zodiac sign of Taurus. So if you have Mercury in Taurus, you're either an Aries, Taurus, or Gemini, as Mercury is in the sign before the sign in or the sign after the sun is in. I'm Everett Carding in this video. I'm going to be breaking down what it means if you were born with Mercury in the second sign of the zodiac, the sign related to stability, security, finances, values, and enjoying life through the five senses. Let's explore how Mercury, the planet of communication and thought, it operates in the zodiac sign of Taurus. This is interesting because Mercury rules Gemini, and Gemini is very fast. It wants to, learn this thing over here, that thing over there. It's very scattered, very versatile. And Mercury wants to go fast. It wants to zoom through things, get your mind really stimulated. And Taurus is very slow and very steady. So that makes it a very, very interesting placement. In terms of its dignity, it is not detriment or fall, but it's an interesting one. Not that I subscribe to the belief of planetary dignities in astrology. Without further ado, let's dive in. So, the thing with Mercury and Taurus is when they say things, when they communicate, it is for something to happen. It is for something to be changed, something to be fixed. They don't just speak for the sake of speaking. They say what they mean and they mean what they say. They say things really purposely, really deliberately, because they want to have things go on in their life experience that are very new and exciting and would be the best, would make them feel the most secure. So, when they talk, they do it with clarity, they do it with purpose. It's often very well thought out, like they really, think things out very, very well before they speak, before they're going to say something, or maybe even do something. They think about it very, very carefully. They ponder it, they meditate on it. They do all the things so that they're not speaking out of impulse. This is not an impulsive uh, um, placement. Unlike Mercury and Aries, which I just did a video about it just the other day, about how Mercury and Aries can be very impulsive and reactive, but this is different. It takes time for the Mercury and Taurus to respond. And I think that's something that I certainly embody as somebody who has Mercury and Taurus, is they will speak to things that are worth their time and energy. If there is somebody who is saying something that is redundant or they don't value or is a waste of their time and energy, it's very likely that these people will not respond. They will consider it, they will ponder it, and they will give the silent treatment if it is not worth their breath and energy to respond to that person. And that is something that I certainly have done in my life, because there's a certain dislike for pettiness with Mercury and Taurus, where that pettiness can really interfere with the enjoyment and pleasure of relationships. So, all of that to say, Mercury and Taurus is very, very good also at minding its own business, minding its P's and Q's, as we can say. Not so worried about others, and I think that I'm stepping into that because my South Node, which is past lives, lessons and over exaggerated version of who you are, is in Scorpio. But Mercury in Taurus helps me to focus on my own life and not worry about what's going on for everybody else. So with Mercury in Taurus, you want to manifest and embody the thoughts and ideas that you have. You don't want them to just be pipe dreams, theory, base, craze, all the rambunctious of what could be the pointers for the beacons. They want to take their ideas and implement them into action because if they don't implement them into action, then they feel powerless. So they need to bring these ideas into tangible form because the big focus for this transit is very focused on tangible and material results, maybe even financial results with this placement. They want things to be physical, manifested, embodied. They want to live an embodied experience with their five senses. They want things to be real. They want things to be form, basically. So the form of things is very important. And it may be hard for Mercury and Taurus because has stubborn qualities to surrender to the form. But if you subscribe to spirituality, like I am currently on a spiritual path right now in my life, um, working with divination cards, meditating, doing all those things, is the very, very popular understanding of surrendering the form of what you think that something should be. And that's not exactly my North Node, because if my North Node was in Scorpio, that would make more sense, but it is in Taurus, which is very materialistic and but still I also subscribe to surrendering the form and all those kind of things and developing my intuition day by day. So things need to be concrete. Ideas, values, actions, they have to be concrete in order for them to truly stick, for them to truly make sense. They have to be um, just that way in general. Now, their mind is very calm, very stable, very grounded. As I said before, if I said it before, they think practically and pragmatically. They have a very, very grounded approach to life and operating their mind. They want to take their time with the things that they do. They do not want to be rushed. And I can definitely say that for myself. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in life is when people rush me. I hate being rushed. It's disrespectful. It's, it's the kind of things like that. It is not appreciative of my time and energy when others rush me. And so they want to take their time. They want to map out their path for their direction, for their end goal point very, very critically, very methodically, very strategically, planning out my path, planning out your path if you have this placement. So they want to create strong and sturdy foundations. That's what they want to create. Foundations are very, very important. Their thinking is very solid. They're very reliable. Also, they can be counted upon to, people can count on them to be there, show up, do the work, all those kind of things like that. So before they share a piece of information, they are going to gather all the facts. They're going to think it through very, very carefully. They're going to evaluate it before they share that information. It's just natural for them to think about what they say before they say it. And when they say it is intensifying, meaning that it is deliberate and what they say, because it's practical, because it's deliberate, because it's meant from a place of heart, just space of contemplation, that thing that they say, that plan that they make, that action that they want to have happen has to happen. Because otherwise, they will feel like they've completely wasted their breath and energy. Because they have sat through, they have thought it out, they have evaluated it. And if it's not going to happen in their life, then those people are not really worth their time and energy. So that's where this is sort of the crucifix of this is where people need to really appreciate how thought out, how practical what is coming out of their mouths if they may have a lot of fire or air in their chart, not a whole lot of earth, but they have Mercury and Taurus. They are going to think things through before they speak. And because of that, what they say must be manifested. if they want it manifested in tangible reality. So you take your time before and while you are acting on what you desire. So, before you go after your desires, you're going to evaluate your actions before you do them. The communication for Mercury and Taurus is very calm, very deliberate. Now, they do not beat around the bush. They don't meander and they don't get distracted. What they say is very deliberate, as I've said before. They get straight to the point. They get straight to the matter, cutting right to the truth, saying what they need to say and not saying anything else just for the sake of talking. They speak with intention, they speak with purpose, they get right to it. They speak in a fast enough way, in a very slow and cautious type of way, very solid way, where others can understand them and keep up with them intellectually. Don't you dare tell a Mercury and Taurus that they're going too fast. Because Mercury and Taurus is definitely not a speed of speaking which is fast and hard for people to understand. So they talk with purpose. They talk with intention, not just talking for the sake of talking. They want their conversations to have an end goal, to have results, to have something that is a payoff for that goal. Wanting productive conversations. You also see yourself as strong-minded and confident. You're very acting in this kind of abundant kind of way, with your values and with your perspectives. There we go. So that's better. Now you can see my face more fully. So anyway, you see yourself as strong-minded and confident in your values and perspectives. Now, two things that are very, very important for you are honesty and integrity. These things are of the utmost importance to you, and you demand that of yourself, you demand that of others. Now, Taurus is very sensual, very sensory oriented, focused on the five senses: taste, touch, smell, see, hear. And so you engage with the world around you, you connect with the world around you through your five senses. You may be prone to closed-mindedness. That's a sort of caveat. One could say that Mercury in Taurus is not the most open-minded or doesn't have as many things to say, in many ways, doesn't have as many things to describe, but I don't agree with that. They can, however, at the low level, be uh, closed-minded. And you have to understand there are other aspects of the chart. For example, I have a lot of air in my chart. I have two planets in Gemini, Lilith in Gemini, Moon in Libra, Neptune in Aquarius, Midheaven in Libra. So I have a good amount of air going for me, so that definitely helps to make me more open to new ideas, open to change. Mercury in Taurus is fixed Earth. It is not open to change, and it may be very, very resistant to new ideas or different ideas or foreign ideas than their own. You may dig in your heels when somebody presents to you an idea that you are uncomfortable with, that you feel insecure about, that feels threatening to you, possibly. And you fight against it and you're very, very stubborn and you dig in your heels when you get that idea that you just are shocked by, that you disagree with. But you want to work on being as open-minded as you can with this placement. So you're focused on the practicalities of life, which can blind your thinking and seeing the world in a more expansive, in a more positive, in a more optimistic kind of way, where things have to be concrete and practical all the time. Well, that's not how it can be for life all the time. There are things that are intangible. There are spiritual forces and energies that are greater than us. There are aspects of life which are not form. When what is really, really important to understand is that the invisible creates the visible. It's spirit first and then material. You are a spiritual being, live in a human experience. Spirit comes before doing. That's very, very important to remember. So if you can open your mind up to a more expansive way of living your life, you will really go very far. It's very important for you to open up to different and new perspectives. Do you think in a very practical, in a very efficient kind of way? You think in solution-based terms. You're not focused on the problem, you're focused on, okay, what is the practical solution for this? As I've said before, you plan to think things through before you act out of impulse. You take your time when making decisions. Now, if you have this placement, Venus being the ruler of Taurus makes it very, very important for you to look at your Venus sign, house placement, and aspects made to your natal Venus, because that's going to tell you more about your communication style when it comes to your Mercury placement. Um, so this placement can be possibly slow to learn and grasp information. It may take time for them to really learn it. But once they learn it, you better believe that they're going to remember it. You better believe they're going to stick with it. Once they learn it, they're going to stick with it and remember it for a good long time, for the long term. You're all about solving real world issues. They think before they speak, as I said before. That's why people have to, basically embody the plans that they make for themselves and the changes that they want to make out in the world. Otherwise, you're just simply, if you're not even willing to compromise with them, you're not worth, their time and energy. So anyway, um, so they think before they speak, as I said before. They mean what they say and say what they mean, as I said before. They might also be visual learners. That's something very, very important. Colors and pictures may make it easier to learn things for them because they might be visual learners. They may learn through watching videos. That may be one way that they learn. When they feel curious about a certain topic, a certain area, they want to go all into it. They want to use their senses to gain more knowledge. They want to take the deep dive. They're really all about understanding something very, very well before moving on to the next thing. Whereas the Mercury and Gemini wants to scatter themselves out and learn a little about this and a little bit about that. Mercury and Taurus is very different, where it's learning one thing, and then when you understand it really well, you move on to something else. They need time to process information. They want things to have a practical application, which is very important. Um, they want their learning to be interactive and enjoyable. So I discussed with Mercury and Aries homeschooling, because you can learn what you genuinely want and what you're curious about. And that could also be said for Mercury and Taurus, because the speed of the school system may not be in alignment, or it may be too fast, or they may not have time. So in that respect, and the learning might not be interactive and sensory oriented. So real life learning, real life experiences can be very, very important for this placement. Now they may have really, really good handwriting. I have really, really good handwriting, in my opinion. They can also be good at storytelling. They may also be very musically talented, very talented at playing an instrument, a violin, a trombone, a piano, a saxophone, a flute. And they may have a very, very beautiful and deep, rich voice. And a wonderful and profound example of this is Barbara Streisand. Listen to it, listen to her voice. It is so rich and it is so amazingly beautiful. Um, and especially I think her song Love Will Survive, I believe it's called. That song is right up my alley. It is so incredibly beautiful. And you can hear the richness in her voice, and Barbara Streisand has Mercury in Taurus. And she is also a Taurus sun. So You want to rely on your experience in looking at the problem from many different perspectives. You are willing to weigh out all the different perspectives of something, all the different options before you make a choice. You combine work with pleasure. It's very, very good for you to do that. You want to learn in a way that is not rushed, in a way where you can take your time learning the thing, which rushing is not your forte. You want to make time for the hobbies and activities that truly energize you. So, doing this is very, very important for you. You want to be calm and peaceful. You rely on your senses. Thoughts that lead to tangible results, not daydreams, not like anything abstract is very, very important. So, you want your thoughts to be very tangible, to be very physical, not liking the abstract. And once you make up your mind, it's very, very hard to change it. And for others to change your mind, that can be something very, very huge for this placement. Um, your opinions are fixed. You don't change your mind easily for that matter. Um, your value system is formed very, very early on in life. You make your decisions, the decisions that you make are aligned with your values. Mercury in Taurus is more conservative on its world views. You want your environment to be very aesthetically pleasing, very beautiful. You're good at handling money and finances. Your mind is very grounded. Your stability is very important. You're also very patient. That's another really, really important thing to talk about. As Mercury and Taurus will be patient and will understand that things take the time that they need to take, and they're willing to slowly put one foot in front of the other for the long game, for the long haul. You approach problems with a realistic kind of mindset. You have dedication and determination when going after your goals. Art, music, and poetry may enrich your life. You may radiate warmth and affection when you speak. You may find that you have stubbornness and irritability, material and financial results. And going back to the stubbornness piece, you may be very, very stubborn, resistant to change, resistant to new ideas. You may become very irritable when people challenge you, rub up against you, butt heads with you. So material and financial results may be very, very important for this place. Your communication style is very grounded, very deliberate. You speak with purpose and clarity. You are a patient listener. You understand all perspectives before responding. Um, you value the input of others. Your communication is probably influenced and enriched by a strong aesthetic sense. Your intellect is marked by a very pragmatic approach. Your reasoning is rooted in real-world applications and sensory experiences. You're curious about subjects that bring you tangible results, tangible benefits and outcomes. You value consistency and reliability. And you're very, very good at balancing strength and sensitivity. So that is my video on Mercury and Taurus. I really, really hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends if you think that they would like this video and find it interesting, or if you have a friend who has Mercury and Taurus, it's good to share it with them. So, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video, which will be the weekly video for the astrology for the week of August 10th through 16th, I believe. Um, so uh, that week's astrology is what I'm going to be discussing in the next video coming out in a couple of days from now. So, bye for now, lots of love, and I will see you in my next video.